Hello, my green skin, and we have a lot of people with us today. We got a crowd. We got a nice crowd. Hopefully, we are loud and proud here today. We are going to be talking about Trek as a whole. So we're going to talk a little bit about Star Trek as I play Wizzatorium, and then I have a bunch of ship designs. I have a lot of stuff playing in the background. This is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to be having fun with this one. Oh boy. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Sure. I'm just getting some stuff. Actually, the funny thing is, you show up. You actually DJ. It's kind of funny. It won't show up on the live stream, but you are actually showing up on my side corner of the game Wizzatorium I'm playing right now. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Discord does that. I think it's virtual arts.
Yeah, no, I'm playing Wizzatorium. Wizzatorium is GOG, and GOG has some interesting Google and side effect thing. So, we're going to have fun with this. We have two special guests today. We have a streamer, DJ Ronnie. Hello, and thank you for joining us. We are trying to get you up for the Star Trek stuff once we start talking Star Trek one day on LCXs. Yeah. And we have Starfleet in Exile is our other good guest today. And so there we go. So we're gonna break it down on people's love of Star Trek. We'll start with you, DJ. You being the first one here for that, and being the guest. So tell us what your love of Star Trek is.
Oh, it goes way back, man. I first watched Next Generation in my youth. I didn't even see the original series until I was like 9 years old or 8 years old. But first it was like this weird thing from a bygone era. But of course, it's just as good as TNG, if not better. And it's just the rest has been history. I was that kid who watched Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, multiple times on the same weekend. And then the 2009 movie came out and made me appreciate Enterprise quite a bit more. And then more crap came out, and now I'm just a old school Star Trek fan.
Yeah, I feel you there. I'll get to my love to this a little bit, but I feel you there when it comes to how I feel as more of an old school Star Trek fan. Okay, Starfleet in Exile. What is your thought process on the good old Trek? How do you feel about Trek, and why did you fall in love with it?
For me, let's see, I'd have to start young. What had happened is I actually fell in love with the space series in general. It was the original series plus Space Battleship Yamato plus Macross, all roughly the same time I started watching.
Okay.
I quite liked for the Starfleet ships, so they seemed oddly, say like when you take a sub, then had large living quarters, and then make sure all the reactors are far enough away from the hull so you don't radiate the crew. And that was my impression of the original Enterprise. Space Shuttle should be miles on. This will skip that since you're dealing with Starfleet. I like the original series. They seem more like what a starship should be. The Enterprise D seemed like a luxury liner when I was watching Next Generation more than a starship.
That's
interesting. Even though it wasn't a science vessel, Winter was to me, it was a sneak science vessel, even though it wasn't.
Yeah, I've always had a problem with that with the kid thing. But I do understand it, considering the fact that they kind of specify that, people will be on those ships. Some of them will be on the ship for most of their life. And so, to basically say, hey, you can't have your kid with you and you're never going to see your child, does kind of, is understandable with that. But we aren't going to be talking about Star Trek. Go ahead.
But to see that seems odd for a ship role. Now I understand they are more exploratory than military, but even then, it didn't make sense bringing the families along.
Yeah.
Like Voyager makes sense because it was very few families. It's like there were very few families.
There were no families on Voyager. Remember the one girl who ended up
But it
Go
was it all started during the voyage, like when they were stuck.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the reason that became a thing is, remember, boys, when they were half mast, they were half crew originally. I just got smoked, but yeah, they were half crew originally. Like so, hello Ray, hello Ray.
Also, originally they're looking at taking almost 70 years, like 25 to 70 years to get back home, was their estimate. So they had to start having families. There wasn't a choice in that.
They didn't have families.
Yeah. No.
They had relationships. They had relationships,
because they couldn't get home the original way from the caretaker.
Yeah.
It was a year or two. They started realizing, hey, we're going to run into a problem if we're traveling through regular warp. We'll actually start the case of aging out for running the starship.
Okay,
I'm gonna like when Naomi Wildman was born. I think that's when those conversations really started happening when when Ensign Wildman had a baby because she was already pregnant prior to boarding or prior to the mission.
She was pregnant. Yeah.
Like I think it's Chakotay that brought it up and saying, "Hey, we're going to have to eventually turn into a generational ship."
They never.
So they didn't have to because in the end they thought it passed way home. But without
saying to you is they never did. At the time, what I'm telling you right now,
it's called after the fact. We know they got home early, but initially they didn't know.
Okay.
We're still up in the air for a while.
We know after the fact.
Okay, so what I'm saying to you is, like, hear me out. Not that there was never any talk about having kids on Voyager. They purposely took kids out. Well, there's two reasons they took kids out. One, they didn't want to put children into it because it was technically a battle mission. So they were more about hunting the Maquis at the time. The second reason they didn't, and this idea that they had kids. The truth is, everything, like the children that they did have in it were the Borg kids. It wasn't necessarily their children that they had acquired. They had acquired children. They never ever actually said, "We want children that we're gonna make this a generational ship." They never brought that up in the series. I know. I watched it recently. There's never been that discussion.
I know, but it's implied the background is going to happen. That's why they had to bring them home. Otherwise, they should have ideally been preparing for that.
Yeah.
Because they knew they couldn't get back to a certain time period.
Well, the funny thing is they weren't actually supposed to get home. Original thing.
They should have sent their own colony was the other thing that they had done.
Yeah, the reason they weren't ever actually supposed to get home. If we're talking, boy, I apologize. We went way off the rails, but this is all Trek love, boys. So let's just have some fun. They weren't supposed to bring him home originally. I know a little bit about the lore. They were just going to leave it kind of hanging, but they realized if they did that, there'd be pissed off Star Trek fans, so they decided to go with it. So, okay, there's that. All right, so my love story of Star Trek. I watched it with my grandpa, and my grandfather was an inspiration for sci-fi for me for a lot of stuff. And not exactly the best man in the world. He was not the greatest human being, but he did introduce me to this and other things. And I fell in love with Star Trek after the fact. And Next Generation was not my love. DS9 was my love. Like, I absolutely love the idea of DS9. I think it's a fascinating story. And I've always loved the idea of, as much as people say that they stole it from Babylon 5, I don't know if there's any truth to that. There's been arguments over that for the years. That one's the one I fell truly in love with. But I honestly think, being a love fan and being a fan of DS9, I honestly think what we're going to be talking about is one of the weakest things of Deep Space Nine, and that's the Bob, your love for Star Trek. Do you have any love for Star Trek, or are you just Bob the Marauder? What do you feel for this one? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Or are you just here to laugh at the geeks?
I would say I am at an effective neutral stance. I don't hate it nor love it, but I respect the people that enjoy their hobbies, kind of thing.
Okay.
Because I never watched it, nor did I have any direct interest in watching it. But not only my father, but also my best friend are fans of Star Trek. And I have that respect for that.
Okay. I get you.
That's about it.
Okay, cool. So we are talking about what I think is the weakest thing, the USS Defiant. Now I'm going to stall out the game, and I'm going to boom, do a morph, and hopefully this works. So we are going to do Defiant port A, and we should be seeing, yes, you are seeing a Defiant. Okay, we are now hopefully on the Defiant piece. Yeah, there we go. We are on Defiant. Okay, so yes, here we are. So we're going to zoom in here. Okay.
Oh, there it is. I see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got the main view, the forward view, the back view, the decks. There actually are a lot of decks for a ship that only is supposed to have that has a minimum crew assortment of 50, which is kind of surprising. That is actually very, very fascinating for the size of the ship. By the way, these warp nacelles they have are over. They bring it up at nauseum. The warp nacelles, as I zoom up and kind of show, these bad boys are way over the beat. Like, this is way for a ship this size, no fucking way. For those that don't know, this is what is referred to as a deflector array. That's a part of this. This is not the head of the ship. The bridge is right here on this super heavily protected area. This also has its own array, if I remember correctly.
Wait, hold on. The bridge is not in the center of the top, like where that circular bit is?
Yeah, it is the center. I'm actually...
Okay,
it is. Yeah.
Okay,
You have the bridge. Yeah.
Mhm.
And now here's where it gets weird. Where the fuck is this shuttle bay?
So this is the thing. So this is what little I know, and I watched a video where the guy explained so much more about the shuttle bay, because there's apparently additional shuttlecraft in various storage locations, including one tucked away possibly on the right. But the shuttle bay that I know is the one in the middle. And what's interesting is on the middle at the bottom there's a door, and there's an episode where they actually have a phaser emitter on the seam of the door of the shuttle bay. Which, you know, it just seems like an odd place for a phaser emitter, and, you know, almost like it made the shuttle bay a bit of an afterthought, because why would they put a phaser emitter on the door if they knew there was a shuttle bay there? But other than that, it also creates a lot of problems with getting the scale right, which is why this ship is challenging to peg the scale down accurately. You know, when you try to figure out how big a human is, how big the shuttle is, you pretty much have this like really tight shuttle bay where in theory, the shuttle, it shouldn't even have as much room as what we see there. But anyway, I do, like, if I wanted to make a practical design, that at least makes some sense what I'm seeing now.
Yeah, because the Defiant is supposed to, like, I've heard three theories, and Starfleet's brought it up that it was a Borg fighter. I have heard that this is a what's called the theory I've heard is this is more of a fighter. Like basically something that a fighter. This would be something that would be a fighter supporter. For me, this would be probably this is supposed to be their equivalent of a destroyer.
Yep.
That's what this is. That's what this is supposed to be. Now, in theory, here's the thing about that. Look at where the hatch comes in. This has to cut right through quite a few places here to open this up and send this down, and this is right next to your warp coils.
See, like, well, we're looking at it from the side, so that is in the center, so it could be a considerable distance from the warp coils, you know, horizontally. You know, we're just looking at the side cutaway, but the thing is, it still isn't quite near the bottom. Like the one in the book I have, it's closer to the bottom. And from what I can figure, the diagram you got solves some of the problems with the diagram in the Dawn the book and the diagram in the MSD, the Master Ship Display, or systems display. That one, is a little bit different too. But this gives us a proper shuttle bay, but it's like, is there an elevator there? It's like it doesn't make that clear. But if there's an elevator, it might make sense.
It
A
might,
lot
but
of
it's
problems.
kind of weird. But here you got a top view here. Starfleet, do you got something you want to add? By the way, they do have worker bees. That's actually another
Yeah.
thing that's actually very surprising, because the worker bee units are super rare on Starfleet ships.
Well,
That
yeah,
was
we are
what?
attached to space bases as repair ships.
Yeah, yeah. But how the fuck do for something for a ship this small? Worker bees are anywhere from usually like for example, if I remember correctly, doesn't the next gen have like 10 to 12 of those? Like if we're talking about the Enterprise C, is it, or D?
Hmm.
I can't remember which Enterprise. I can't remember next gen's Enterprise. I will remember. Is it B?
D as in dog, yeah.
I think it's the one book I had for specs, except I lost the book. Yeah, it had 12 of them, but that was the next generation specs. I don't know if that changed later on, though.
Yeah. So how like for something like this, where are you putting these worker bees? So Bob, worker bees are basically if you get what we're coming out with, this is basically in a nutshell their like way of repairing ships. These are not drones, by the way. These are actually people get in these and they pilot around the ship doing fucking repairs.
So kind of like the balls from Mobile Suit Gundam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah,
They have
Kind of like one
robotic
of
arms
those.
on the front of them, yeah, and they got manipulator arms on them. Absolutely. They're like the
yeah,
balls before they were armored and put to war. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, it's simple
yeah.
enough. Very well.
Okay, so yeah, and like I said, they have one Type 18 shuttlecraft. Now the funny thing is, no, they don't. They were using runabouts, which are far bigger. A lot of people don't understand. Runabouts are huge.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're about 4 or 5 times the size of the shuttle.
They weren't
Yes,
using runabouts in the Defiant, though. They would fly escort. They would fly with the Defiant. The runabouts would still have to launch from the runabout pads on DS9. But that was like sort of why they pulled in the Defiant. But they didn't want people. They didn't want the adventure happening on glorified shuttles, And that
yeah,
was kind of what the Defiant solved. Was it looks cool when it's flying by
yeah,
shooting its phases, but having your weapons array attached to the nacelles, a little sketchy there.
yeah. Well, they don't use. They use modified phasers, but they did have. I don't know if we get. I'll skew up the top view for this because we do have multiple views of this. But this is this little thing. It does have a phaser array. This is what drives me the most nuts. Is this warhead sensor package?
Yeah.
I've looked up warhead cockpit.
Hmm.
So here's the thing about this. This doesn't make a lick of sense in the Star Trek terms. It is also right next to. Oh, sorry, I skipped this out to another one. That was my bad.
And there's a mess
Uh,
hole up there too.
yeah. Oh, did I just I killed her thing. Okay. That's okay. Yeah, there's a mess hall up here, but yeah, we switched things. I'll reboot that in a sec. It's being a little finicky. Some stuff is jumping around. I do apologize. I believe that is that piece. Yes, we want that, but I do want the spec 2. Okay, back to that. Okay, so this doesn't make a lick of sense. Warhead emitters. Now, there's been theories that the reason the ship has that weird junction on it is because that's a firing point.
Hmm.
This is supposed to be able to launch this big section right here of the Defiant.
And so it doesn't work as a weapon, and it makes a terrible escape pod because it's loaded with ordnance. But it could make sense if it takes damage in battle, and you want like an easy way to effect repairs.
Yeah. So here's the weird thing about this, because this is also the deflector generator. Now, for those that don't know, every ship has a deflector array. The deflector array this also shows the other hidden ship on the far corner that they have on this thing. Is this is the deck 4 stuff. So yeah, right here you can see that you do have that this comes out from the bottom end. Now it has an actual shuttle that launches down underneath the ship, which is a really bad place to put that. I honestly think that should be more. If you were to fix this, I would have put this back here on the ship, because there's a lot of this section that isn't really doing much because the warp engine is underneath that. If you were to put it up on a higher floor, you could technically get away with that. But putting it down here is kind of problematic. Although the idea was, from what I remember, from what I was talking to a friend of mine, the idea is that you can leave the bridge and get right to a ship right away. It's just a quick jaunt.
Like to launch a shuttle, you mean, to get out of the ship pretty quickly, or an escape pod?
To get on the ship. The escape pods are the worst thing.
Oh, okay, Doc.
Oh
got
my
you.
God. The escape pods. We'll see if I can get them to pop up, because we're going to be Jesus fuck. The escape pods on here are nightmare fuel. I will.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be a fun one for me. I gotta every once in a while do this. Hello everybody, hello. We got a couple people watching, but yeah, the escape pods on here.
Can't believe of all the things I didn't notice was the deck nomenclature.
Yeah.
That's not how you do decks.
Are they backwards?
So
Yeah, I'm trying.
if you're going above the center deck, it's supposed to be the number first. There is no zero. It's just the number. If you're going below decks, it's things like 01, 02, 03.
Ah, I see. Like the water line on a ship.
Yeah, so deck 3 should be 00. Deck 2 should be deck 1. And then deck 1 should be deck 2. Deck 4 should be 01. And deck 5 should be 02.
So if I notice correctly, these little tripods right here, these little things I'm pointing at, these are the escape pods on the Defiant.
Mm-hmm. Also, see those hexagons, the black hexagons? Those are definitely escape pods. Like they look like the first contact / Voyager style ones. Now the circular ones, they do look like escape pods, but let me see if I can get a little reference on that. I mean, your diagram.
Those are supposed to be phaser arrays, if I remember correctly.
Okay, but I saw another. If you look at see the red part, that's like almost like a door. That's like a hatch. And in another diagram, I didn't even look at my book. I'm just saying, like, I saw a video describing it, and at least it kind of makes sense based on the hexagonal shape of them. They do fit the build, kind of. But you know, like you said, they could be generators. But I think I'm guessing the blue ones are some kind of generator. I'm guessing here, but that's my speculation at this point.
Shield array. Those could be that could be a shield array, which is way more shield arrays than you fundamentally would have on a ship. Which means this ship would have a lot more shielding than your average ship, which would be kind of unique. Okay, so right here is kind of interesting. So you got your captain's ready room. You also have a holodeck on here, which is I can't remember where it is exactly, but like that kind of surprised me that there was a holodeck on. Holodecks are fucking huge.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've already described that most holodecks. For those that don't know, holodecks. This is super Trek lore. Holodecks are supposed that the emitter for a holodeck is massive. Like there's a reason Quark doesn't have 12 of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So these are your escape pods. Now look at how weird this is from the escape pods. Like, okay, if you're in an unusual place, on this place. Like, let's say you are around here, which is secured access bay. Okay, so you would have to travel quite a weird ways to get all the way to this escape pod, and it's like, good fucking luck.
Yep.
You're gonna.
And if let's say someone's in the escape pod, you now got to go all. There's no direct route to the other set of escape pods. Then I got to go back around the long
Yep.
way while the ship is on fire.
Yeah, and here's the more fun thing. Okay, so these escape pods are used. Okay, look at the way this is the engineering room right here. You go. These are gone. La 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 la. I'm getting blown up. La 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 la. Okay, I gotta go up here. Hi, bridge crew. You fuck.
Well, you go
are
up.
so
You go up
fucking
through the
fucked.
front and around. Assuming that there's not major hull damage on that route, and then you can cross that way and then go through and then zigzag through that because like as if that's not gonna be a pain in the ass when you can't see anything, and then maybe someone else will not have already escaped through the what is that starboard escape pods.
Yeah, this is also undermanned for escape pods, by the way.
I'm so happy you guys mentioned the giant ass P-ways that we have here with no bulkheads.
Yeah.
This could have been done in a far simpler way using ladder wells.
Yep.
Why do we have these long P-ways that could be a substantial hull breach?
Yep.
Look at all that vacuum room.
Yep. Well, you have to for this. You have to. Like it has to be this big for the engineering room for one reason only. This is the warp drives are fucking nuts.
I'm not talking about the engineering room. I'm talking about the P-ways, the hallways.
Oh, the hallways.
Yeah. And there's like there's nothing to break up the you're right, it's a large space, it's a large volume. Now I can give you a little something that might make it safer. Emergency force fields, but this just shows the hubris in the designers to think that you can rely on something that requires energy when there's an emergency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's like I said. This is why I said when the Defiant got shot down, I was like, yeah, that made a lot of sense. This is I hate to say, this ship is exactly what my friend would jokingly call a No Man's Sky Corvette when someone doesn't know what the hell they're doing. That's what my friend has noticed, because like the reason these are usually so big is because of what they do with it. The way it works is, if I remember correctly, now DJ or Starfleet, catch me if I'm wrong. They purposely have several shield arrays around a warp drive. So even though if this burst out, you'd have like shield array. So this is actually designed to basically protect, and so it doesn't get into the rest of the ship.
And I give you a little something. There was one episode where Odo was helping to chase down another shapeshifter that was hiding on the ship, and the way that episode culminated was they turned off the force field on the outside of the bottom of the warp core. The room started heating up, and ultimately that shapeshifter died when he fell into that bottom portion of the warp core. He immediately gets like electrocuted and cooked at the same time. And so it's like, I guess what they're going for is it's such a small little ship that, you don't have room for all of those fancy luxuries like properly shielded warp cores, or maybe it's just easy to access for engineering purposes. But once again, it's another oddity.
Okay, well, to turn on, I know it takes a full 12 hours to turn off a warp drive engine and completely turn it down that you actually can get inside here. Like, it's 12 hours. And that's with this, because these are constantly humming. They're like my AC lately. So that's the big issue with that. So like I said, this is just kind of funny because, again, if you want to, you're literally, like, when I saw this, I went, oh my god, like, your best chance is, because your escape is like this, click, 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 and it's just like, wow, that is so problematic. And again, there's a lot of places here, like, people would be over here, People would be over here in these parts. What about the people inside this? Like this thing, like you will have people in here.
I don't know if anybody noticed this yet.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the exterior. There is no direct route for the escape pods to get out.
No, I just pointed that out. I just pointed that out. If these two escape pods were gone, you would have to run through the ship, cut
No,
through
I
the
mean, on the external of the ship, there is no way for that pod to get off the ship.
well,
There's
okay,
no
so
route.
no, actually, they're in here. I'll see
What is it,
you.
like a hatch that I'm not seeing here?
Yeah, it is a hatch. I believe Defiant Deck 4, you would have an extended hatches. So yeah, there are hatches up here. They actually have shown it.
What?
They actually
Why do you have a hatch? Another thing that's powered for an emergency situation, unless it's a blast hatch.
it is a blast hatch.
Okay, very well.
I'm switching back to the game, so we're not completely boring everybody.
Or
But
I might stand corrected from earlier before. You mentioned that escape pod location, now I'm thinking about it. Even though I'm confident about the escape pods on the internal diagram, I think I recall when Defiant got wasted in that episode, and when, what was it, the other one, Vengeance, I forgot the name of it, the one with the red squad on it, I do recall seeing the escape pods come out of those circular spots.
Yep, they do have an open access escape pod. You can actually, they have shown it on separate.
But aren't those the coils?
No. They have the way it works is they have 4 launching. The way their escape pods work, if I remember correctly, now just take this from like the few times I've seen the launching. When you launch an escape pod, the way that bad boy blasts out of the ship, boy does that shit blast! It like fires completely out of the ship, and they actually have a compression shot. They basically shoot air out, and the air pushes it out, explodes it, and then the ship launches. Now, an escape pod has up to 72 hours before you're in trouble.
I'd say, Chief, there's barely any need for a mass amount of compressed air because the vacuum will just rip you out.
Oh no, they actually do shoot you. Like they fire you away from the ship. Like it's designed.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get a small pop, but that vacuum is gonna make you fucking fly. You're using the vacuum as a slingshot. Decent concept.
Yes and no. Yes, you are right. You are right. You are absolutely right. But the problem is you got to keep in mind that some of that is not. It's not really going to be perfect for every person that's going to be trying to get out of there. And they designed it in a way that you'd be able to move far enough away from the ship. Because when a ship goes off, man, when a ship blows up, warp. There's something called warp radiation. And that's not uncommon. If you're close enough to your ship and your warp nacelles go off, you'll die of the radiation. So the theory is that
I think the radiation's a small part when your warheads are made of antimatter.
Yes, you are right, but no, you're right. No, you are.
Yeah, I'm about to say it's like, oh, radiation, but we have warheads made of antimatter. I'm more afraid of the antimatter than the radiation, I'll be honest.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but it's like there's multiple reasons your life can go bye-bye when you're on a starship, man. And there's so many bad days. So the game plan is to keep the crew safe. You get launched. They launch you they launch you quite fast out. And from what I remember reading on the escape pods, because I can't remember what was it book 2 or book? It was a book 2 or I know there's like several books on the escape pods, but they do have 72 hours, and I also do believe they have the ability to transfer. You can transfer. I hope I don't die. Okay, got through. Yep. They do have like 72 hours of a long-standing, like you can actually. They give you basically a good way to live. Like they make sure that you'll live for quite a while. It even has temporary. I do believe it doesn't it have. I remember reading that. Don't they have actually not tricorder replicators on them? Don't they? Don't they have like Type 1 replicators or something simple like that?
I believe they do. They definitely carry a ton of rations, but I want to say they have replicate. I know, and the Enterprise D has escape pods shaped like cubes that are supposed to dock. So you can connect them together as a larger escape pod. As I don't know how manageable that is, but it kind of sounds cool, if not impractical.
It sounds like a pain in the ass because unless you have thrusters, and even then,
they got
trying to control yourself in a vacuum, that's a pain in the ass.
Well, they've brought that up. They've brought that up a couple times. It's right around the Enterprise. It's right around next gen where we got the weird ship designs. In my personal opinion, that's when you got the ships, like the other ships kind of have an energy to them that where you can say, yeah, okay, this looks like this could actually work as a ship. But those are like, oh no, those are pretty certain that those don't exactly meet standards of like original stuff back in the day. Shit, blew myself up again. So that is the thing. It's kind of fascinating for that. Like they really do have a lot. I do remember some of them do have replicators. I just can't remember which ships do. I know Voyagers don't.
Sorry, my brain's still on that fucking warhead cockpit.
Yeah, that doesn't make a lick of sense. I don't know.
What you should do here is reduce a bit of the cargo space, put it where you have
your warhead
under the bridge. It should be the cockpit itself should be under the bridge because what the fuck are you going to be looking through?
Yeah.
Why am I looking through a window into the void?
Yeah.
If I have my sensor package right there at the front. Sensor package at the front, no issue. No problem.
Well, the Defiant is one of the few ships I remember from the Star Trek stuff. That is one of the few ships that actually legitimately has no like way to look out of the ship. Like you are solely and utterly foobarred if you run into a situation like that. It has no way of looking out. There's no windows on the Defiant.
Then why is the warhead cockpit the only guy that gets a window?
No, they don't get a window. That's where the deflector array is. No one gets a window.
No, look at it. The top view. Isn't that a window? That khaki colored stuff?
No. That is a deflector array.
Why does the deflector array look like a window?
It's not supposed to. It's a blue. The blue thing is not.
It's not blue.
Well, at risk of being that guy here, I'm pretty sure I see windows on the bottom of the Defiant. They don't work at all. They make no sense. I think they're on the inner side of the warp nacelles.
I'd have to look, but I'm almost certain that it didn't happen.
On the dorsal view, the front end, that could be the deflector array, but it looks like a window to me.
Oh yeah, if you look at it up close, it's got a metallic mesh screen on there, and when it docks with the station, that little port in the middle is supposed to be a docking port as well.
That little slit at the front there.
Yeah,
on the dorsal view.
Yeah, so maybe that has a window on it.
Well, it's not supposed. To my knowledge, it's not supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Because they also have it on the back end of the bridge. I guess that could be your array that you're talking about.
Yeah, they don't have. They don't. Well, they're not supposed to anyway. There's not supposed to be windows. I believe there's even a thing where they actually say there's no windows. There's even an episode. Remember, they even have an episode where they have they have to have Quark to make Quark kind of more useful as he joined the crew. They have a thing where he's sitting there screaming at people, because they fucked with his ship. That would be the Maquis episode where they have, for those that don't know, there's a Maquis episode where Mr. Eddington fucks with their ship in a major way.
Yeah.
And that episode has him they actually displaying it. No shit, we can't see shit. We are blind now because of what Mr. Eddington did.
Yeah. Well, either way, warhead cockpit, move it back to the cargo. The thing that should be right behind the sensor package and the array itself is the magazine. So you have your Star Trek equivalent of gunner's mates and fire controlmen to load the antimatter rockets. Because that's how we do it on ships, is you have a room that has the magazine where you load shells for the front gun. You're not actually loading it on the gun deck. You're below the gun deck, loading it onto, I forget what they call it. It's a weird chain link system that has, I think, hooks or clamps to grab onto the rounds, but in this case, they're rockets or missiles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that will load it up to the actual launchers themselves, if need be. In fact, with the thing this advanced, why the hell does it not have an autoloader?
Well, I did see a version of these schematics where there was a torpedo storage area in the aft section of the ship, and a sort of like a track, or like a track that would convey torpedoes automatically to that front section. And that made sense, but then inside that front section are additional torpedoes and additional antimatter storage containers of sorts. And so it's like, okay, you almost had it right, but then you lose points for still putting all your explosives on the front of the ship.
Okay.
The only thing I could see with that is because there's a way to turn off the conveyor, just in case you need to raw dog it because the system is out, such as conveyor system, but the weapon system still works. When I say raw dog it, you get like 6 guys to pick up the goddamn torpedo like it's World War II and shove it in the tube.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good point, because I definitely am familiar with that procedure, and they literally have like a beam hanging from the ceiling of the torpedo room. They got hooks that they can move around. They got hand-operated winches, and you could raw dog that torpedo right into that torpedo tube, and you could take hull damage that punches a hole in the ship and makes that, railroad track, unusable. So, I mean, yeah, it's a fair point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and also,
wait. Bob. Okay, so go ahead, Starfleet.
Don't drop that warhead if you're going to be doing that.
That is standard procedure. You keep both hands on that warhead. Even in the Navy, both hands at all times. The only time you put it down is if you're loading it or putting it on an ammo rack.
Okay,
but,
so
go ahead.
Just get your heads up on that. They have had episodes where they have had warheads hit the ship that didn't explode. So we do have that fun. But anyway, go ahead, Starfleet.
No, we already had their talk about the warheads.
Okay. So what's your thoughts? You've been somewhat quiet, and we want to get you on involved in this as well.
Well, what grabbed my head at the time, it seemed a little underwhelming for what it was meant to do.
Yeah.
Because it was described as being anti-Borg.
Yeah, it was described as an anti-Borg ship originally,
well,
yes.
It was designed to be anti-Borg, and then they realized it was what was the word? They literally admitted it was kind of a shit show, and then it got repurposed later on for the Dominion, but, even then they didn't really solve how much of a shit show it was. But you're absolutely right, it was intended to be their, we know Borg adapt to phases, so what do we do? Let's build something with phases on it.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not even saying that.
What they're supposed to do is each pulse of that phaser was a different frequency. So they could adapt.
That's actually that's a clever. That makes sense.
They created the special type of phaser design that was normally at the time they call it triphasic phasers. For those that don't know, we are going way in the fucking lore at this point. If you're a Star Trek fan, triphasic lasers. Basically, all phasers or all phasers in Star Trek have like an energy signal. The energy signal is I can't remember the exact decibels because I do
But
not remember.
it's like a frequency, and for whatever reason, the board can adapt to the phaser based on the phaser frequency, and you can modify phasers. At least what they did on Next Generation was modify the phaser frequency. So by the time we get to First Contact, they sort of programmed their phasers to do that, but ultimately they still adapt. But yeah, it's the gist of it. And I guess it's because shields have frequencies too, right? So for instance, there's been episodes where they, where the enemy, in fact, they do this, well, they've done this many times, where the enemy gets in fact, Star Trek 7 Generations, when the DeRoss sisters, hack Geordi's visor, they get the shield frequencies of the Enterprise D, and then they're able to fire a Klingon torpedo, or even fire, if they had phased these disruptors, of course, that would basically, I guess, be at a frequency that would get in between that interval, I guess.
Yeah, that's how they pull it off. The way phasers work is their frequencies are tied to their shield, so you don't have to let your shields down. Unlike, I believe the one was it the Klingons or the Cardassians that don't have a shield frequency.
Wait, the Kardashians?
Kardashians.
Not the big butt ones, the spoonheads.
Yeah, spoonheads.
Okay, I was about to say, wait, what? I knew they were aliens.
So Kardashians are we do gotta get Bob to watch some of these space. Well, me and Bob have talked about it. Bob has to pick up a certain app in the next couple of weeks so we can start watching anime.
Yeah, and
but
I'm still looking at the passageways here, and I already figured out a way to make them better.
Yeah.
And hell, you don't even have to do too much.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to do much for this. That's the problem. There's not that much you have to do for most of this ship. Like the ship, the best way I would do it is I'd remove that stupid deflector array because that sticks out like a sore thumb, and you do not want to hit a deflector array. That's usually a bad day when you do that because it can cause a feedback loop in the warp, and it actually can blast into a warp nacelle, and you go boom.
Now, the phasers and all that. How does that function on a solid surface?
It'll vaporize hull plating and things of that nature. Also, the Defiant is equipped with ablative armor, which is similar to like the ablative coating you would have seen on the X-15, where when it gets burned, instead of damaging the hull underneath, the ablative coating burns, it creates a bit of a gas around the outside of it, and essentially it's burning away. Its burning is what absorbs the energy of whatever would otherwise damage your hull. Of course, once the ablative layer is gone, you are no longer, affected in that regard. So it's really for when the shield has a gap in it, or when the shields are compromised, it gives you like the ability to sustain a single hit on a given zone.
Yeah.
Perfect. Then my idea works. Okay. So, those passageways that are really fucking long? The one hallway that's at the pointing very front of the ship, make that connect with the main command deck. Give it bulkhead. Seal off the hallway that goes all the way around. On the purple side, get rid of the ladder well that's right there, and put a ladder well at the top right that you see where that white rectangle circle thing is, and keep those passageways. That can act as spaced armor. Spaced armor, judging by what you told me about phasers and how it vaporizes, it works similar to a pseudo high explosive, let's say.
Yeah.
Spaced armor helps against that, and spaced armor also helps against heat. High explosive anti-tank.
Yeah. Well, what Starfleet does that no one else did with their phasers are they have the way to have a way to wave their phasers. They're the only ones in the Star Trek universe that can pull this off. What you do is what they would do is they actually have a the way the phaser array and how big the phaser array is. It's designed so that not only does it fire from a, but you can fire from a mass. You can also fire multiple shots at once, which was never seen before in the universe. Like that was something that they just never did in like ships just didn't do that back then. So Starfleet had kind of cornered the market on some of the best phasers in the phasers in the system because you could do so much with their array. Like there's a
if that's the case, Starfleet, how much for 2?
Yeah, that was the problem. Their ships are overly...
No, I'm asking him.
What would be?
I'm asking Starfleet. He's the one that came up with the tech. How much for 2? I may have a weapons contract for the U.S. for you. It's just because the guy has the same name, so it's funny to me.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, the space armor concept, even if something breaches vacuum, you already have bulkheads in place to seal that off. And it's also going to be sealed off nonetheless because it's a spaced area. Also adding a layer of protection to the command deck.
Yeah, it was considered the most armored ship in the fleet at the time. It wasn't I remember it wasn't until, I can't remember the name, there's a better ship that they made. They made a better ship later. I can't remember the name of it. I keep thinking it's Excalibur, but I think Excalibur's another ship from an anime. My brain says Excalibur for some reason, but they did make a really...
Star Trek anime?
No, there's a...
Are you thinking Excalibur from Babylon 5's spin-off Crusade?
Also, Excalibur Idol, Babylon 5.
I'm thinking it might be that. It might be that. That's what I'm thinking. I think you got it right there. I think my brain is registering that ship. For some reason, my brain just wants to say Excalibur, but it starts with E. I just can't remember the name of it. It's not Excelsior class. There was another class that kind of existed that Starfleet kind of made, and they basically made a really powerful warship. And again, the Enterprise.
Oh, it was the Excelsior class modified in Paradise Lost. That was the episode name. And it was a special variant of the Excelsior, and I can't remember the name of it all of a sudden.
Yeah. Like, I know the Voyager class was actually kind of fascinating for its time. Like the shocking thing about the Voyager class, that is actually supposed to be a functional warship. That was their warship at the time.
I gotta check out if I'm getting a cough. Oh.
You gotta go?
Season. He's getting
okay.
sick.
All right. You go what you gotta do, man. Thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna continue with... Yeah, hey, you know what? I do feel bad. I feel bad, man. We'll meet up for food later, okay? I get some cash. Yeah, I feel bad. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he wasn't feeling well, so it's like he was feeling like shit all day today, so he had a rough night. So it's like
I think about this vessel where I'm like, I myself as a layman who's not a professional hull tech can already tell you how to make this better.
Oh, there's lots of ways. Like my way is simple. You remove that deflector, that pointy out deflector. You get rid of that whole bullshit of it. Oh, the ship actually can like remove that piece from itself. You don't do that. What you do is, it's really simple. You just set it up, and then you add a bunch of phaser emitter arrays on there, like front phaser arrays. And bam, you have a better quality ship than anything else you would have. It's not a hard ship to fix.
And if it is something that's designed to break away, do not have anything important, i.e. personnel, up there.
Well, yeah, you literally have a cockpit for it, which is weird.
Don't do that. Don't do that. That's what I'm saying. Like, move that control area back under the bridge, because that's where we nicknamed it the war room on our ship.
Yeah.
That's where all the fire controlmen and all the big heads that got to fire the fun guns went. And they were able to look through the computer screen. In fact, one of the guys actually said, "Hey, Bob, come on over. Take a look at this." And it's the camera view of the front gun firing at the killer tomato. Which was the nickname of the giant orange balloon that we throw out for target practice.
Okay.
Some fancy biodegradable thing so the hippies don't get mad. Just a giant orange target on a blue ocean. Literally just a balloon.
Okay, cool. Alrighty, so
one last little bit. That cargo bay with the phasers pointed front.
Yeah.
I noticed it said turntable. And my best guess is if it's a turntable, that means it rotates, I guess you'd say sideways, like the hinges are on the front or the forward and aft sections of wherever that shuttle, I guess you'd say parking spot would be.
Yeah.
So that bit rotates and the shuttle just drops off almost like a bomb. So I don't think it's like right in line with the phasers. I think the phasers are to the side. It's just the turntable's dead center.
Okay.
That's my best guess if I'm to give this thing credit. I think that's what the intention was.
Okay, so DJ, what do you want? How would you fix this ship? Because we kind of.
Well, I'd give it a few more decks. I would make those windows on the inside dorsal side, valid, because once you get those sizes up a little bit, you start to make a lot of problems a little more manageable. I think the ladder ways idea was a good suggestion because just making things more accessible on the whole would, like in particular, escaping during a frantic time. Because you might have an assigned escape pod, but when when shit hits the fan, you may not be able to make it to your assigned escape pod if you got to walk around the entire ship to get to that side. Beyond that warhead on the front, be fine if you could eject it to easily replace it and service it, but I don't think Starbase is necessarily stock fronts of ships that you only have 3 of, if that. And of course, I mean, at the end of the day, it did its job. It looked cool in combat, but in practical terms, it's a death trap.
It is a death trap, and it always was a death trap. That was the funny thing about it. That's kind of why I always thought it was an absolutely absurd. I'm like, wow, they literally made a death trap.
Also, if I may butt in real quick, bulkheads, give this thing way more bulkheads. That does miracle work for damage control, especially when it comes to open vacuum. This thing needs to be sectioned off more.
Well, the deflector arrays were designed in a very interesting thing. In the Star Trek lore, if you lose a deflector array, you lose what's referred to as hull integrity. Like a lot of these ships, when they design Star Trek, a lot of these ships aren't 100% put together.
Yep.
Like
It's funny you mention it because I mean the original Enterprise, the whole point of having that smooth exterior was so that everything could be to show that this is the future. It's so futuristic that you don't have a lot of crap on the outside, that everything could be accessed for repair and maintenance by a person who may not necessarily be wearing any kind of EVA suit. It makes the warp exterior boring, but it is sleeker. Now, in particular, the warp pylons, where the warp nacelles are attached on the original Constitution class, was very weak, but that's sort of the point, is that, this is a man named Matt Jeffries who served in World War II as a flight engineer on a B-17, and I believe he piloted as well. He tried to, make it realistic. That's why we have Jeffries tubes, places that you can crawl on the inside to get access to pretty much anything important. And they kind of this was not a Matt Jeffries design, obviously, and it was hardly Matt Jeffries inspired. I'm not saying that anyone's obligated to do that, but it shows.
Oh, is that where Jeffries tubes came from? I thought that was actually okay. I was trying to remember where that came from, and my brain went to those were actually the ship. That was actually like an actual military term. No, that was based off the actual guy who worked on the design of the ship. I like that. That actually is kind of cool.
Well, no. As DJ said, he worked on B-17, so it is a military term, just not a Navy military term. You'll likely find it in the Air Force, with B-17s.
Okay, cool, alright.
Yeah, that's why I was like, what the fuck is a Jeffries tube?
Yeah, that's
Because
why
the
I
last
was
thing you want on a ship is a fucking crawl space.
That's a fair point too. It did cross, especially when you see them wearing their pajamas and you're crawling on those metal plates with the the grid, the little metal grid plates like a catwalk. That's gotta hurt like hell. It's gotta be terrible for the friggin'
Oh,
knees. They
dude,
better have knee
non-skid?
pads.
Oh,
Yeah.
do not slip on non-skid.
Yep.
If you have bare skin on that, it'll cut you the fuck up.
Oof.
Yeah.
I've done that, and it looks like you got road rash.
And they crawl on
Granted,
it.
my first job I ever had when I got on my ship was replacing the non-skid. Take like a knife and use it as a scraper to scrape up the old worn out little pieces of non-skid. Especially on decks. So the non-skid I'm talking about that will mess you up was already on the inside of the ship, where it's like this tape. It's like a large little tape panel that you just put on the deck. The outward decks, that non-skid is deeper. If you were to trip and fall and slide on that, it'd probably be like getting cut with a few knives. That is how much deeper the non-skid is. Not cozy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the interesting thing
I'm actually
about
itching my arm right now. Remembering that.
So apparently the way those were designed, and I'm just kind of like using from what I've done research on it. Apparently their little costumes weren't that nylon pajama shit. Apparently it actually was like they actually were like good uniforms. They also had go ahead.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, like Worf specifically mentions that Starfleet uniforms are designed to be, worn in be comfortable in all climates. So, I mean, yeah, in universe, not necessarily the costumes, but in universe, yeah, I mean, perhaps it wouldn't be unreasonable to expect some kind of knee pad being there in addition to, some futuristic fabrics.
So like some synth weave kind of fancy stuff that's dyed a
Yeah.
certain color.
Yeah, it actually was fundamentally supposed to be something unique, and you actually could like legit.
Okay. Here I am thinking they're basically wearing fancy jumpers with their dungarees.
No, they're not. We're not dealing with a Dunkaroo cat. We're not dealing with some.
No, dungarees. Okay,
Oh,
I'm gonna go on a slight tangent real quick. My old man asked me if, when I was on the ship, if I wore dungarees. I was like, no, Dad, that went out a while ago. Right now, we wear coveralls. Because dungarees is like, I think, all the way up to the Korean War, if I'm not mistaken. The blue button-downs with the bell-bottoms. Those are nicknamed dungarees. They looked comfortable. Too bad I never was able to wear them.
Probably were, but no, they're designed in a lot of ways. Like there's a good scene where it's not Picard, it's either Cisco. Yeah, I think it's Cisco. He legitimately just rips his thing off and just goes like that. That's kind of how it is. Like he just rips the shirt and just puts it on his hands and just walks across extreme heat with his bare hands. Which you figure if that was not properly designed to do that, you'd be like not able to absorb some heat. Man, that little bit of fabric would have burned away real quick. So
where's their flash hoods? Do they not have flash hoods and flash gloves?
not when they're traveling anywhere. Like if you don't expect to have to do that, they don't think about that.
Oh man, always have a flash kit on you.
Yeah. Yeah, flash gear is really important. I mean, like I see the firing crews wear those. But what do you call it? In the movies like Star Trek 2 and 3, they do have sort of like engineering uniforms that do have gloves. And when Spock manipulates the lithium chamber or whatever, he puts on the heavy gloves, although he doesn't put on the rest of the suit.
Now,
Which is kind of funny.
do they look like the Mooney Men? Is it like a chrome fire retardant outfit? Is that what it was?
Honestly, it looked more like the first Contact spacesuit. Like, it was soft, but it had, like, it looked like something that you would want your engineering crews to wear.
Yep.
Okay, so probably the Mooney Men. That was a nickname we gave the guys in the chrome suits. That would be, like, the first stuff on a fire during air operations.
Yep. Yep.
They look like spacemen, so we just nicknamed them the Mooney Men.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, they look like they are literally the silver suits. I seen them on an episode of Battlestar
Yeah.
Galactica once when they were fighting a fire on the ship, and it's literally the same suit they would wear in the naval services.
Also, Red Dwarf, the laser-resistant armor is literally just that.
Yep.
Because it's chrome and it reflects light.
Well, it makes sense, right? Like, that's also
Yeah.
a great franchise. The bazookoids are one of my favorite little weapons from that franchise. They're an interesting spec. I'd have to relook them up, but they are a fascinating spec if you know anything about that franchise. But yeah, no. Overall, great. Like again, that was my biggest upset with that franchise, Defiant. But I mean, because there were better ships out there, and like I said, Starfleet having goddamn fucking fighter planes was also a weird thing too, because that was not normally seen in the franchise at the time.
And they're like the size. Apparently, the scale on those, they're like the size of passenger airplanes to some extent. So it's like they're there once again to look cool, but it's like they don't really. I don't know if they feel an important need.
No, they don't.
Why would you need it to be that big?
Well, here's the funny thing about those ships. Like I said, what made it really kind of amusing about those ships, I've actually kind of had a laugh about that over the years. They really didn't think about like a lot. There's a lot of specs in that franchise where you're just like, what were they thinking when they made this? Because it doesn't make a lick of sense. But that's Star Trek in a nutshell. It was good up to the point when Roddenberry and the people who were working on it originally kind of left. And when they kind of left, things kind of shifted. And boy, did things shift in a different way. And then ships kind of got overly designed a little bit. Like the whole thing about kids being on a ship. That was not a part of original Star Trek 4. Oh yeah, sure, they had the super sexy outfits. The Kirk directive, as he as jokingly added in an AI thing. So though they had some really cool looking, like women wore very little to any costume. Like they were actually wearing a little bit of anything, But that was kind of cool for that era. But that was the 70s trying to explain it. But the ships were they weren't overly designed like they are in like Next Gen. Next Gen, they are way overly designed. Which is kind of amusing if you think about it, because the way they designed everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, overly. It's sort of overly designed, but it was a cool looking ship. So for a TV show, it did its purpose. For an actual, like, looking at it from a ship perspective, boy howdy was that crap.
What's this thing called? The Defiant?
That's the name of it.
Godspeed, you're a fucking sea turtle.
Yeah. Oh, actually, have you ever seen the sea turtle? I gotta show Bob the sea turtle. 1 second. I gotta see if
Okay, I'm about to say the Defiant looks like a sea turtle to me.
I'll have to find it, boys. You're gonna laugh at this.
Just pulls up a generic PNG of a sea turtle.
No, Bob, you're gonna see this and you're gonna laugh. This is people were libertarians were spending money on this. You are going to laugh.
Okay, where are you sending it?
Hold on, the sea turtle. All right, Bob, get ready. Get ready for the super yacht. Get ready to laugh. Bob's gonna laugh.
On standby.
Okay. I'm gonna put this in general so DJ can see this too. You're gonna laugh at this shit. I'm even going to do one better. I will copy that image, and that image is going to end up on the stream.
Oh, that thing! Yeah, I've seen it before.
Yeah, DJ, what do you think of that?
Let's take a look here. Where did
general.
generally say? Generally, I gotta click general. There we go. Oh, what the? Is that a Zindi ship?
No, this is.
Now,
this
I
is,
want you to take a wild guess of what country was proposed to make this.
Dubai.
God damn.
Come on,
quick.
it's totally some bullshit they would do. But yeah, I vaguely remember seeing it. Now that you mention it, I didn't remember immediately. But I'm wondering what I love turtles, but I think sea turtles get too much of the spotlight as a parent or keeper of aquatic freshwater turtles.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna.
I'll be honest. I like cephalopods and crustaceans.
Yeah, they got their high points.
All right.
Now, the
So
stupid thing I
what we're-
remember about this turtle is,
okay.
yeah, those sidewalks are legit made out of concrete, both on the inside of the shell and on the fins. Think about that.
So here's the thing about this ship. I'm gonna play Wizzatorium while we're talking about it. It should be showing up on the chat. This ship is supposed to be the first floating city. That's what it's described as.
When I first heard that, when I first heard the first floating city, I was like, "Hey, Dubai, the Navy would like to have a word with you."
Yeah, this over fucking overbuilt, over expensive, never got finished. To my knowledge, never even got close to getting done. People put money on this. Like there was a lot of cash.
Oh, yeah, I'm about to say nothing happened. There wasn't
Yeah.
even a dry dock made for this thing.
No, this was, and the design. If you look at the design of this mockery of a ship, it has a city inside it, and it has a water point. So basically, underneath the ship, I don't know if that was supposed to be a pool or a lake, but I've heard that was supposed to be seawater. So you're supposed to have a bottom on the ship that was designed so that you could see the bottom of the ocean. Well, this is sailing.
So, the way that is designed, because I have seen the specs,
Yeah.
that water in the center, part of the ship's bow is underneath that. So it's not a direct line to the ocean, but the back end still has a hole in it, which means as this thing is in the water, it's going to gain water due to its weight. Buoyancy does not defeat a giant gash in the center of your keel.
Yep.
First thing that's going to happen is it's going to start, the aft end is going to start sinking, and then the city's going to get flooded, and eventually the thing's just going to go bye-bye.
Yeah, this is absolutely absurd. When I saw this, I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, "My God, this is the stupidest designed ship I've ever fucking seen." And I've seen some fucking dandies, boys.
Not to mention, this entire concept is literally the ultra rich's hubris.
Yeah, this is.
As a starship, this could maybe work. I mean, those arms could be places to put your thrusters, so you get some maneuverability. You can put some maybe reaction wheels or gyros in there. And then the middle would be open to space, so the buildings would be pressurized, but the middle would be open to space, so you could like maybe repair your shuttlecraft out in the open or launch a bunch of mobile suits. But yeah, I'm just making shit up here.
Hey, Chief,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
you
Okay,
thinking
Bob,
what I'm
Bob.
thinking?
Yeah, you can build a Corvette of this and No Man's Sky.
No, I'm thinking Wall-E. If this
Wall-E.
became a spaceship, this would legit be the ship in Wall-E.
Yeah, it
It'd
would.
be a bunch of fat, stupid people with no bones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's an interesting franchise, especially with the theory that some people have that the people are eating other people.
Soylent Green? Anyone?
Yeah, apparently that's been the running theory for years for Wall-E.
Oh.
Overall, I don't know, boys. Like I said, we've created some stupid stuff. By the way, hello, Psyche. This reminds me of the Dubai U and Streamer City. Yeah, the Streamer City's still being worked on, actually, for those that don't know.
Streamer City.
Yeah, it's a city of streaming. This is actual real thing that they've actually.
Isn't that just China?
Leave it to them, yeah.
Well, you're not wrong there, because actually that's what a lot of women on there will actually go outside and stream. That's not a joke, but that is a real thing that's actually going on in China.
Yeah, and I'm thinking the Streamer City is like, okay, so what are going to be the ground rules after the Somali situation?
Well, they've already decided. To. Well, the Somali situation is very simple. They don't care. Or are you talking about the Johnny Somali situation?
Yeah, Johnny Somali.
Well,
when I say the
I don't
Somali
know.
situation, because he was a streamer, I thought you'd pick up on that. My bad.
No, Somalia isn't. I thought you were talking about the country that's down there. That's
No,
down,
not
down.
Somalia.
Okay. I don't
Talking
know.
about the streamer. It's like after his torrent of chaos, and then the other guy, the Russian dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Either
No.
way, are there going to be ground rules in this air quote streamer city, or is it like no holds bars?
The idea was to the Dubai Streamer City. For those that don't know, basically it's supposed to be arena. Like the game plan was, we're going to build ship. We're going to build this massively overly built city for one purpose, and the one purpose is very simple. You come to our country to play beat 'em up games and stuff. This was supposed to be the tournament hub. This is supposed to be the city where you go as a person to get yourself this is where all the tournaments are going to be. That was the game plan. So the game plan is that you go there to go for your esports. That's going to be the esport hub of the world. Never did become anything from what I've heard. It just kind of fell apart. Other people might know more about it than I do. I know very little about it because I only knew that they're planning this, and I was like, wow, that's kind of nuts. And it's like, oh yeah, they were planning a lot more of this, and this. Like, okay. I was kind of surprised by that, actually. Personally, that they were going to go that far. But did they actually go through with it? To my knowledge, no. But they did just buy the WWE. I don't know if DJ is a big wrestling guy or knows anything about wrestling. They have basically, they have like two of the major events are happening they're going to be happening in Dubai.
Oh, I know they got money there, or at least they like to show off their conspicuous consumption there. But yeah, I'm not super into wrestling, but I'm not against it.
Okay, what do you did you see that they bought EA? Are you I don't know how much you actually pay attention.
Who bought EA?
Saudis did.
No, I
Yeah,
didn't know
Saudi
that.
Arabia.
Leave it to them. Maybe they'll actually make the games less whack, but I doubt it.
Apparently, yes. Actually, they are planning on making games less whack, from what I'm hearing.
Okay, that'd be nice. I mean, I'll give them a chance. I mean, I gotta be better than what we've had.
Yeah, I agree. Have you also heard about the arcade, as in the museum ACOM wanted to build in? Yeah, I heard about the Wakanda theory. Oy vey, the Wakanda theory.
How
For those that
many
don't
is
know,
this now?
I'm not gonna get into it at this point. Like it's so fucking cringe at this point. I'm like, it's so cringy. Okay, let's get through here. Fuck, I really hate this. Oh wow, I'm not. This is kicking my teeth in. Overall, I don't know if you pay attention to that much, so I didn't want to bring it up. We can move on to other ship stuff, or we can move to other sci-fi stuff, or we could talk pop culture. You're the guest DJ. What do you want? How do you what's the field you want to talk about today?
I mean, I'm pretty open here. You know, I like talking starships. I studied the schematics more than real ships at one point in my life, although I'm kind of making up for lost time on real ships now. I've been reading about a lot about for the past year or so World War II, in particular the Pacific campaigns, and you know, I was recently rereading about the Battle of Iwo Jima. You had a guy named General Kuribayashi, and he was said by Howland Smith to be basically the most redoubtable, formidable opponent in that particular theater of war. And I'd say Kuribayashi was a pretty honorable man. He actually visited the U.S. in the 20s. I think he met Calvin Coolidge and some famous lady in Hollywood. But when he had to do his job, he did his job to the death, and he basically put a moratorium on bonsai charges in lieu of, you know, actually doing their job. And, well, they still basically had to fight nearly to the last man, but he made it so that we really had to pay for every inch of that island. And some jerk off on an internet comment the other day said it was hubris. And that's the only reason why we took Iwo Jima. And I think he missed the point that it's a good place to land your planes when you have a great distance between Saipan and Tokyo.
Yep, I know, and it's just kind of funny that they. Well, a lot of people like I've brought this up about that, people who want to ignore history. A good example is, like I said, the we were Vikings and we were that, you know, that stuff, that kind of ignoring and creating Wakanda, as I've heard some people call it. And I'm like, you know, as a person, I'm like, no. Our society works like this. This is how our society's always worked. Stop trying to win when you can't win. You know, it's like, stop trying to mess with history. Because I'm a fervent believer that you gotta take history as it is. The good, the bad, and
I mean, look, it's okay to talk about the ills of the past, but revisionism isn't helping anyone learn or acknowledge how to move forward. And you don't have to, like, I remember a couple of conversations I had, but when it comes to this, you know, aspect of revisionism, look, I mean, like, we look at the Dutch Empire, we look at whatever they call it, we look at what the British did, and ultimately the British generally left most places better off than when they came there, whereas the Spanish and the Dutch tended to leave them worse off for the most, in many ways. Where, you know, the English Empire, the British Empire, did spread the English language, and the English language is effective at conveying, you know, abstract concepts, scientific concepts, and having that, you know, spread around the world is what, in my opinion, enabled us to make a lot of technological leaps and collaborate on stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but like with the other thing, it's like, what was it? Like, I remember this is a little bit of a hot button, but one time I was talking about Columbus, and a co-worker brings up the notion that he didn't believe that the folks in the great continent in the middle of the country, which is, like, you know, potentially a cradle of civilization in some ways. He didn't believe that people were being waiting to be picked up by ships to be transported to the New World to, you know, be conscripted to free labor. And his notion was that, oh, yeah, no, this journal was by Columbus's brother that says that there were already people of, you know, of a complexion here. And it's like, well, yes, people in Puerto Rico were darker. They're in the dark sun. They're the Native Americans of that area, so to speak. And basically just sounded like, I don't know, almost sounded like a little egotistical, like he didn't want to believe that his roots had this dark chapter and that it was like a revision that would, you know, help to save face. But it's like, dude, it's okay. Like, we all had people in our bloodlines who went through that type of trauma, and, you know, it's just like, it was a weird thing to, like, you know, like, go through. But at the end of the day, I don't know, I've got my point was, but it's just like a lot of, like, history in, you know, the development of civilization in Western civilization as we know it today. And yeah, sure, okay, you gotta take the good with the bad, and at the end of the day, it's like, it doesn't mean that we don't have a right to what we have now.
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. There's a lot of bullshit. No, I'm not saying there ain't bullshit in society, man. There's lots of bullshit in society. I think
a whole lot to think about. What was that Japanese officer's name?
Yeah, that was Tadamachi Kuribayashi. So that's Kuribayashi. And if I misspelled that, Google will definitely correct it.
Oh, don't worry about it. My counter offer is flamethrower tank.
Oh, well, speaking of flame, oh yeah, I love the name. So I remember reading about the flamethrower tank. They used the name, what was it? Ronson tank. Because apparently the Ronson Corporation, who makes the lighter fluid and the lighters, they were involved in that particular design. So Ronson tank, it's like a freaking giant cigarette lighter. And the other guy who was involved was what's his name? I forgot his first name, but Baron Nishi, like he had a nickname. Baron Nishi was an equestrian. He actually got a gold medal at the 1932 Olympics. And once again, another guy who had some connection with the United States in that, he got along, but he did his job. And before going to Iwo Jima, he had to go pick up more tanks because the transport ship of his tanks got sunk. So he goes to the Philippines, I think, to get some tanks. Brings them to Iwo, the tanks get wasted eventually. Then he commands his men to, basically, okay, the tank crews, you guys go and slay some American tanks now. And he was one of the guys, once again, died with his men. Nobody found his body. Probably didn't want to be buried anywhere else. So yeah, Baron Nishi, another interesting character. But if you want to see a good movie, Letters from Iwo Jima. Clint Eastwood directed 2 movies, Letters from Iwo Jima and Flags of Our Fathers, and they basically tell the story of Iwo Jima from both the Japanese and American perspective.
Yeah, that is a very, you're right. That is a great movie. One of my favorite guys is Clint Eastwood because of the stuff that he kind of like lately. He's kind of hasn't done any movie directing lately. He's just kind of like he's at his retirement age.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he had done a lot of stuff I'm just really impressed with, and I've always kind of had a love with his work, and his work has been phenomenal lately. Mm-hmm. And yeah, no, we need more places like that. Personally, is my personal opinion when it comes to a lot of that stuff, because I feel like we ignore a lot of history, and it's kind of sad for a lot of stuff. Like it is that ignorance that we're kind of seeing more, and it's like I really don't like that, because we always have to fight ignorance as a society when it comes to history. And yeah, I don't want that as a scenario thing, because we had a lot of archaeologists. There's quite a few scammers, let's just put it that way, that made it a point to kind of fuck with us. And they'd be like, oh, well, this actually came from this place. This came from that place. We don't need more revisionist history because of like archaeologists and other groups that have fundamentally changed stuff. Mine is more medieval. Like we're only now people are talking about fucking HEMA and like medieval fighting and stuff, and they're realizing, the secret that was the 80s ninju, as my friend likes to call it. The reason he calls it that is because Globen and Gaius and the fabled canon films that create the modern day ninja attitude that existed. He calls it the ninja for that reason. But no, that mentality that exists. Okay, like you said, I only watched Count Daku's video on it. The Fat Electrician does really biological videos.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, those are great.
Electrician's pretty solid.
Yeah, he is. We got some solid. Yeah, we got some solid guys. I used to like, it's sad. I wish Arch had done more World War II stuff, because he seems to have a lot more knowledge on that. I know Bob has a war memorial on him, but I actually still think he could bring something to the table. Although the last thing he was playing,
I'm thinking about Grunts and Crafts. Can we bring that back?
Yep.
The reason my ship program was a failure is because we had nothing but contractors and other civilians working on it.
Yeah.
We want Grunts and Crafts. We need some actual military personnel on top of it.
And
3 of the greatest things have come from Grunts and Crafts. The CB's making the flamethrower variant of the M4 Sherman.
Yep.
The T-95 Doom Turtle. It didn't do its job. It Honestly, it's just kind of funny because, yeah, it's almost completely unassailable from the front, if not outright unassailable from the front, if it gets there.
Blood reference.
Even though there are better engines out there, they decided, all right, how are we going to move this giant many-ton behemoth? Because I can't think of the exact number that it was. Let's just take the V8 engine out of the Sherman, get two of them, and just slap it. Oh, wait, no, it was just one. It wasn't even two of them put side by side. It was just one of them. You know, the engine that moves the Sherman along at a fairly decent pace. Yeah, let's put it in something that's about 16 times its weight. That'll be fine. And then the last one, my absolute favorite, the Ontos. This is what happens when Marines and farmers decide to make something.
Yeah, that was interesting.
The bazooka tank, 6 recoilless rifles with a 50 cal spotting rifle each.
Yeah.
It's so American, it makes me cry.
Yep. I mean, it definitely rained Hellstorm, but reloading was where the tricky part came in, right? Some guy had to get out behind it and reload it. But other than that, I mean, if you had them loaded and ready to go, yeah, I mean, you're going to rain fury on whoever's on the receiving end.
Dude, the Marine response is great. The Army was afraid because they get shot at. The Marine mentality is, we've been getting shot at ever since the birth of our Corps. Nothing has changed. We'll take 14.
That's a tiny little thing. The Ontos is a very tiny thing. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and it's like,
yeah,
you know,
hell, it was so good at its job when it was, I think it was Korea?
possibly Vietnam, but maybe it started in Korea for all I know.
Whenever, because it did its job so well, whenever the enemy saw the Ontos, they just decided to not engage at all. The Marine platoons that were with the Ontos were more safe than Marine platoons on foot without any armor support. Just because the mere sight of the Ontos made people run for the hills, and that's not to mention the beehive rounds that fired.
Oh my god, I didn't even know about those.
Recoilless rifle rocket, except instead of armed with APHE or high explosive, it's lined with about, I don't know exact number, but as many iron nails that you can fit in a rocket warhead. And it turned the bazooka, or the recoilless rifle, on the Ontos into a giant fuck-off shotgun.
Now that's what I call area of denial.
It is. It would, from, what do you call it? From anecdotes that I've heard around from other vets, it would cut down a forest if you fired all 6 barrels in a direction.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not a huge tank guy. You guys are definitely the tank guys. You want to talk more like fantasy stuff? Yeah, I'm good at that. But no, yeah, also, like I said, it's interesting to see what war, like how historical war has affected our sci-fi in a major way. Like Gundam's a good example of that. I mean, like the Zeon are fucking goddamn Japanese and American, like to the point that it's kind of funny. They're kind of an amalgamation of all three armies in one unit, if you think about it. Because I sent him a battle standard, although it's all in Japanese. But I sent him all the Zaku units. It's basically all the Zaku units and how their battle little crests are, and like the mermaids, the electric Valkyrie, the this to that, and all the other kind of fun little things that were added to the lore of that franchise. And it's just kind of funny how that stuff kind of became a thing, right?
And I can easily see the very American/British inspiration for the Federation.
Yeah.
Mostly British, because for some unknown reason, when the British decided to make their tanks, they kept them in the form of boxes so the enemy can get an easy 90 on your armor. You don't want an enemy warhead to hit flat on, That's not good.
Mhm.
Yet the British made all their tanks very flat.
Yeah,
Well,
that slope bomber makes a big difference. Yeah.
Damn right.
Yeah, but Gundam, the reason the units look like that, the boxiness, was to incorporate that type of armor that the Japanese had. Like it is a love letter to Japanese like the old Japanese samurai armor. That's why Gundam looks the way Gundam looks.
The Gundam, yes, I can see, but with the gems, no, that thing looks like a goddamn what is it? It almost looks like a Cromwell to me. How boxy the thing is.
Well, they're going for cheap, mass-producible, and sometimes maybe you could afford them. I'm thinking more of a Putin method of strategy here. The troops are not as valuable as the machine, which I mean I don't believe. I'm just saying, sometimes seems to be the mentality there.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a Russian mentality. Absolutely. Anyone ever watched Enemy at the Gates?
Oh yeah.
I remember I was one of those stupid kids that thought the Russians were so cool because I played Call of Duty World at War. Then my father showed me Enemy at the Gates. Yeah, my opinion changed real quick.
Yeah, it did. It's interesting to see what the Russian stuff. Another decent movie, if you ever get a chance, is 1917. Is also fucking phenomenal.
Oh,
I still that is. I don't know if DJ's seen that yet, but yeah, everyone watched that. Like, yeah, that is phenomenal. I don't know, Bob. Did you see 1917 yet?
No, I don't think I did.
It is one of the few times there's a World War II movie that's probably one of the best World War One movies.
1917. Okay, I'm about to say 1917, but World War One. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was the best World War One movie I have ever seen, like bar none.
Oh yeah.
And no, it was, and it's like I said, the idea that it was all one shot is just phenomenal. Like they actually did the whole thing in one continuous go. You get to see it's based off an actual real story, where it's based off of soldiers realizing, oh shit, we're losing. If this unit moves up, they're gonna die. So these two soldiers are basically fucking making a mad dash to stop a unit from fucking going into combat and save the units, because if they don't do this, the whole unit, the whole platoon, that whole group is gonna get wiped out. So you have two soldiers making a mad fucking dash halfway across a battlefield to save thousands of men.
Hi, Chief.
Yo.
I know DJ and I are big on history vehicles, and you like fantasy. What if I give you a homework assignment?
What?
What if sometime in the future we do a talking subject of another fantasy vehicle in a franchise?
Okay, what's that?
Anything. Like, anything that comes to mind. Like, if it has schematics and we could talk about it, yeah.
Well, I was actually thinking of Space Battleship Yamato, because I know the specs are out there.
Oh really?
And-
Okay, yeah. Because I like a lot of the elements of the ship, and it's like first episode that really got me interested was when I really sat down and watched it, not just getting the middle of it, and I see that they actually have the wreckage of Yamato on the sea floor, which is now exposed to the atmosphere, and the freaking 18-inch guns are still operable and presumably part of the actual space battleship, but covered in a facade of the old wreck. But anyway, beyond that, like once it's in space, as insane as you got to make some leaps to justify the design. It's Matsumoto. He does whatever the f he wants, and he does a good job doing it. And the things like the wave gun. I mean, there's a lot of cool like sci-fi things going on with that ship. The way it operates, the way it channels the energy. I don't even know how the wave gun works. I looked that up, but I would love to dive into that and come onto a stream, where we're covering something like that.
Oh, well, we'll definitely. If you guys want to do this sometime, maybe not every Saturday, because I gotta get the D&D stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying as like a idea in the future.
Like I said, we got our Tuesdays at 6 o'clock session. or 6:30. If you're willing to come back, DJ, we'll set up the. I am totally not against having some fun and talking about some of the other weird spaceships. Like I would love to talk about Captain Harlock. If I could find the specs for the Macross, would also be an interesting. Would be
Macross is I've studied Macross. I mean, I watched Macross so many times, SDF Macross and Macross 7, and I specifically kind of put a little extra effort into like, because I'm fascinated by space colonies and generational ships, and just like looking at these things like City 7, Macross 7's city ship. It's interesting because it's like it is a large dome, a large glass dome, and it has this mirror on top, but it's not really a mirror. It's a holographic projector with a projection of either the sun or the moon on it, and I guess to make it Earth-like. And then of course, during combat or a situation when it's needed, the door can close, the shell can be closed on the city to protect that delicate glass-like cover. That glass-like cover on the dome has actual, like, almost like a monorail. They're more like trains, but they're like tunnels with monorail like trains in them, and it's a transport system that overflies the city. It's just a cool design in general, with a couple of weird elements in there, like Hokushu District, I forgot the name of it, where the main character, Neki Bazara, lives, is like this one area that is like attached. It's the pod section that's attached with this large window. It also has, I think, a door on it, maybe. In a later Macross series, they have a similar thing called island section. But it's like, wait, what do you mean you don't have what do you mean this part of your generational ship is not registered? I mean, you got oxygen in there. Like, I mean, yeah, maybe it's somewhat self-sustaining, but, what do you mean it's not on the freaking city plan?
Yeah, no, there's a lot on there that isn't on the city plan. I would have to look it up, but I do believe there was a tabletop game for Macross that had all the ship schematics. There was like there's also a Gundam board game that goes main tabletop game out there. I've been looking for that for a while. If I can find that again, I would so be interested in running that. Like that would be not playing the game. I'm not going to play the game. Fuck that. That game is fucking confusing as fucking, doesn't make a lick of sense. But all the ship schematics, bam, are right fucking there. Like you can find everything you need right there on one giant passage. And I got no problems doing that. That actually sounds like a hoot and a half. If you guys want to do that, if you guys want to meet up on Tuesdays to do this, sure.
Yeah. Because talking about hypotheticals and other ways to fix a certain design.
Yeah,
I like that. I really do like that.
All right, yeah. So yeah, no, I'll set our Tuesdays for that. That sounds like a plan then. Okay, yeah, we're almost at the point here. We were just like I said, I don't mind talking about the other like actual. I know a little bit about tanks. It's just I'm not a big tank guy. Well, I'm a big tank guy in fantasy tanks, but not really a big other thing. Like there are so many things I can set you guys up with for sci-fi. It's just a matter of, there's those stupid fucking, I don't know if you ever seen the book, read the book series, where it's the whole series is about like people living on cities, and they're on giant motor cities, and then they actually, when they find another smaller city, they like capture
Mortal
it.
Engines.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Mortal Engines. Yeah.
Mortal Engines.
Those design, I heard those schematics are out there. I've never seen them, but I've heard they're out there. I would fucking love to talk about the stupidity that those are even. Those don't even make a lick of sense at all. Because in all intents and purposes, it's so the way that would be. It would be so top heavy that you just fucking crash out and like just fall over and just implode. But like they're just absolutely absurd ships, and like the design's just absolutely over the top. So yeah, okay, Tuesday at 6 then. We'll do that. We'll definitely be setting that up. Hello, Arus. Welcome. I did see you. Yeah, we did see you. And like I said, I do want to say thank you so much for DJ for jumping in. Like we're I'm trying to get as much people onto the channel as I possibly can and want to have some fun. And anybody who wants to enjoy geekdom, because we get a little political on this channel, and I kind of want to keep it, 50-50 to that. We're trying to stay away from the pulp culture as much as possible on this side. The flop house is a different beast. That is a political minefield, unfortunately. And that is of our own creation and our own design. We wouldn't have it any other way, right, Bob?
Wait, what?
The flop house has a little bit more of a political edge to it, and then we wouldn't have it any other way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we get to talk about the shit that we both me and Bob are like. Seriously, seriously, that moment.
Yeah, we could be a touch more bold, but not the level of bold I prefer to be.
Oh yeah, well, we all have our own. We all have our locker room talk, man. That's just society as a whole.
Yeah. But all around, DJ, I enjoyed having you, and I really look forward to you stopping by on Tuesday if you can make it.
Oh,
yeah, we love you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Orc. I really appreciate it. And, it was good. I'm glad we kicked the bullshit on this. It was good. And, whatchamacallit? Yeah, Tuesday I usually get off work like 8 o'clock-ish. I get home by 9-ish. And, I pop in.
I got 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Yeah, we could pull that off. We could pull that off. I can't see why we.
Yeah. I can pull fashionably late. Like, I'm not trying to show up super late, but I can show up fashionably late. You guys don't have to wait for me,
No, I don't mind. I don't mind moving it to 8 o'clock anyway. I like the only thing was I usually try to stay away from Logan's time, but LDP's.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but I don't think Logan would care. It's not like we're gonna steal people from him. So he's got his own game going. So I don't think he's gonna have a problem with that. And there's so many streamers that we have that's a part of our group. Like it's the reason the only one I stay away from is Els because we do have such a cross connection at this point. I don't feel comfortable I do feel like I sort of steal Els when I do that. So it's like, yeah, I try to stay healthy actually.
We all have our own barrel of monkeys. Do not take the other one's monkeys. They get angry.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. Yeah, so I don't like cross sectioning. And El's outright said, go right fucking ahead. I don't care. Yeah, El's fine with it, but yeah, I do feel a little bad about that because El's been a consummate source of helping out, and she's been an absolute marvel for the channel. So yeah, I really don't like stepping on that toe. Logan, I don't think Logan would care because, like I said, we're not stealing any of his fans. So yeah, I'm all for it. If you guys want to do it around 8 o'clock. We'll set it for 8. That way, Logan usually starts around 9, so that get if we do for 2 hours, that we can send people to him if we want. That works perfect. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Sure. If you guys, what do you guys want to talk about next? What's the big one? What am I looking for schematics for the stuff? The Macross thing might be a problem. If you guys want me to find the Macross maps. That shit is a little bit of a bitch to find because I have not seen those books, the tabletop game books from Macross, in a hot mile. I've looked. I have not seen them.
I've only been able to get a lot of good information or decent information on Mecha Anime, mahq.net. They have a pretty comprehensive list of ships and specs on there. Whether they're sourced correctly, I don't know, but it's like just names of ships, class types, like they have a number of destroyers that follow the Macross, colonization fleet, I guess we'll call it, that act as advanced, scouts basically, as well as, just defenders during combat.
What about the vehicles from Bafira Chronicles, like the Italy's?
They don't have that. I don't think that. Did you see those on there? I didn't see anything when I checked last.
I don't know where I'm checking. I'd be doing like a raw search.
He was talking about the mecha. He's talking about the database that has a lot of mecha stuff. There were three great websites. One of them got taken down. Thank you, Bandai Namco. Go fuck yourselves. It was one of the best Gundam sites out there. It gave you all the specs for Gundam. Like there was a better that there was never ever a better spec site than that one Gundam site. Like it was that good. And Bandai Namco had it taken down, which really pisses me off. Because you could. They were one of the few sites that had cockpit designs. Like they had the actual full cockpits of what you see in the UCA gun cockpits. They even had the back designs of the cockpits. You never saw that. You never saw that type of like lore in most books at that point. So when they did that, it kind of like we kind of lost a huge portion of lore of information by them doing that. Yeah, I know my unfortunate lore when it comes to the fun that is mecha sites, and it makes me sad every time. We need the lore, and it goes bye. Little skeleton bastard jumped out on me. But yeah, no, I'm all for it, and I think we're gonna call it here. Thank you everybody for enjoying us. If you want to see more Wizzatorium, shout out Wizzatorium. We could I will gladly do more of this game because this game is fucking really. This game is sick. I'm enjoying this game a lot. Like I could play this all night. And thank you very much, DJ Ronnie, for showing up. I do appreciate that, and thank you very much, Bob. And I know we don't have our other compatriot here, but thank you very much, Starfleet, for showing up. And everybody, catch you guys next Tuesday. And yeah, so give me a decision of what you guys want us to work on for specs. Leave a comment. And if you guys have a spec decision, we'll talk about that if you guys want to stick around for a couple more minutes. And yeah, we'll figure out what we want to work on. All right, I'll talk to you guys later, and have yourselves a very good